Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. فقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فاجتمعوا على طعامكم واذكروا اسم الله تعالى يبارك لكم فيه أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the ability to sit here before and study some ahadith from this very blessed book. Inshallah, we're looking at a lot of chapters today. We're looking at 6 chapters. And there's lots of ahadith, but I'm just going to summarize it for you, right? These are table manners. We have one more lecture left, and then all the eating manners are going to be done. Lots of hadith, but I'm going to summarize it for you, okay? The first chapter is Babun Nahi al-Qiran bayna tamratain. It's prohibition for, don't eat 2 dates at one time. And it's likes. Except if you have if you're eating with a group of friends, and then you're taking 2 chocolates at one time. Unless if all your friends are okay, that's the deal that everybody gets to have 2 chocolates at one time like that. But actually, the hadith that we're about to read is a hadith about drought. There was a drought had fell upon the Sahaba, and so people weren't supposed to have too much. So there's Umar radiallahu, I think it was Ibn Umar. Abdullah ibn Umar. Everyone knows Abdullah ibn Umar. He went around and he told people that don't have 2 dates. The Prophet ﷺ said, don't have 2 dates in one shot. It'll just have one at a time. Meaning that we're short on dates. So everybody just have one at a time, because it also looks like you're greedy. So if its times are strict, or if the things is short, then you shouldn't be greedy. But again, if time are not bad and everything is sufficient, then it's okay if you're having 2 peanuts at one time or 2, and it's not limited to dates. It could be anything. Okay? So quickly, the hadith is, Asabna aamu sana, a drought fell, ma'a ibn Zubair. It was the Khilafah of Ibn Zubair. Waruziqna tamran, we were having some dates. Abdullah ibn Umar, he passed by us. Wa nahnu na'kul, we were eating, and he said, La tuqarinu, meaning that you can take a seat. Okay? Meaning that don't combine them. فَإِنَّ النَّبِيَّ نَهَا عَنِ الْقِرَانِ. Prophet ﷺ prohibited that you're eating, and it's not limited to dates, like eating 2 chocolates at one time, 2 things at one time. But I told you what this is about, yeah? إِلَّا أَن يَقُولْ إِلَّا أَن يَسْتَأْذِنَ الرَّجُلُ أَخَاهُ, except if you have permission. Also, we learn from this, children, and adults and everyone, is that you're not allowed to monopolize. Let's just say times get hard. Nowadays with the with the shots, there's some countries that are doing monopoly, right? Like some countries have more jabs, and some countries have less, and some countries have over, but they're holding on to that. So Islamically, that will be prohibited. Where you can't hold on to more vaccines if other countries need it and you have enough. You already call it. So it's called monopoly. Islam in business, Islam allows certain business, but monopoly is not allowed. Like if everybody needs something and you have a monopoly over it, you're just not giving it, or you're charging too much money for it. That's not allowed, okay? The next chapter, مَا يَقُولُهُ يَفْعَلُهُ مَنْ يَأْكُلُ لَا يَشْبَعُ. What should you do? What should you say or do? Whoever eats and doesn't get filled. Basically, some Sahaba, I'm just going to summarize everything, keeping it short. So some Sahaba, they're eating. They asked Rasulullah ﷺ, some companion, they said, we eat, but we don't get full. I mean, you can understand, maybe they had less food, but the Prophet ﷺ told them, and they're very poor. The Sahaba, they had less means. So they're like, we eat, but we don't get full. Prophet ﷺ gave them a prescription. He said, are you eating separately? Your own plates? They said, yeah. He said, no, eat in one plate. If you eat in one plate, فَاجْتَمِعُوا عَلَىٰ طَعَامِكُمْ, gather on one food, وَاذْكُرُوا اسْمَ اللَّهِ, say Allah's name, يُبَارَكُ لَكُمْ فِيهِ. Allah will put barakah in it for you. What do we learn from that, children? What do we learn from that, everyone? We learned that, look, our logic says that if I share my food with you, then I'm going to get less food, right? If I eat my own food, then I'm going to have more food. That's what our logic says. But Allah's, the metaphysics, the reality, the spiritual reality is something different. If you share, you're going to have more. Whenever you share, you have more. If you just be selfish, you can have less. I'm going to take questions after my dua. Right. And when you're sharing, Allah put barakah. The more hands. I don't know who does this at home, who shares at home. We're kind of losing it in the modern world. In America, we're kind of losing it. But if you go back, like if you go to Saudi Arabia and some of the Muslim countries, they still do it. The whole family sits around a tray. So see if you can do it. If you're at a party, see if you can share a plate with someone. So that there's more barakah. Next hadith. Amr bil akl min janib, whenever you eat, the next chapter is about eating from the side of the plate, and prohibition from eating from the middle, because middle is where the barakah comes. So you eat from the side. A lot of hands are eating from one plate, you eat from the middle. Middle is where the barakah is coming down. There's many ahadith. I'll quickly give you translations, okay? Al-barakatu tanzilu wasta ta'am. The barakah comes in the middle of the food. So then eat from its sides. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا مِنْ وَسْطِهِ. Don't eat from its middle. Leave that for last. That's barakah. Right. Next hadith. كان للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قصعة. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم had a big, what do you call that? قصعة. Like a big plate, or what do you cook food in curry? What do you make that in? Pot. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم had such a heavy pot, you need 5 men to carry it.
Oh my gosh.
Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, can we mute? Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a big pot that 4 people. He needed how many people? He needed 4 people to carry. And then فَلَمَّا أَضْحُوا, and when it was duha time, like morning time, there's a salatul duha, the nafil time around 12 o'clock-ish. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would bring that out, because Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would serve food through that. That people knew that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would serve. People had a pantry. We call it pantry, soup kitchen, right? In modern, we have these words. So they would have that. فَالْتَفُّوا عَلَيْهِ. People would gather. Oh, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's pot came out. Everybody's gonna go have some food. And then فَلَمَّا كَثَرُوا, and when there were a lot of people, just Rasulullah used to sit on his knees, like he would get onto his knees, like he would sit in this position, like on your knees. Okay, it's like a humble position. He would be on his knees as he's serving people. Just Rasulullah فقال أعرابي, somebody said to him, a Bedouin said, ما هذه الجلسة? You're sitting on your knees. What kind of sitting is this? Like in a strange way. Rasulullah said, إن الله جعلني عبدا كريما. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made me a humble servant, and he hasn't made me a tyrant. Meaning that Rasulullah was known that he used to sit in a very humble way. He didn't used to sit in a very special spot. He would sit in a very humble way. People thought that people couldn't even tell who is Rasulullah. He would keep himself like that. May Allah give us that tawfiq. So he did that. And what they used to do with the pot, they would eat from it. Then Prophet said, كُلُوا مِنْ حَوَالَيْهَا. Meaning that from the pot, as you're taking the food, keep taking it from the middle. وَدَعَوْا ذِرْوَتَهَا. Leave the middle of the pot. يُبَارَكُ فِيهِ. Like everybody gather, keep taking from the pot, don't take from the middle. Now you all know how to get barakah, inshallah. All right, next chapter. بَابُ كَرَاهِيَةِ الْأَكْلِ مُتَّكِيًا. This chapter is about Prophet ﷺ never ate sitting. So if you're sitting like this, if you have to eat, don't sit. Even on your, nowadays we sit on table chair. Sunnah is to sit on the ground. But even when you're sitting on a chair, at least you're sitting. But then don't lean. Try best to do that, unless you're hurt or something. People who are in the hospital bed, they eat, that's fine. But normally, Prophet ﷺ didn't I'll take questions at the end. Don't, لا آكل متكئ. I don't eat leaning. Next hadith. رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم جالسا مقعيا يأكل تمرا. Someone saw Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم sitting muq'iyya. The way to sit muq'iyya is like this. Who do you see sitting like that nowadays? Like some humble people, right? You see somebody poor on the road, you might see him sitting like that. You see some kid sitting like that. It's not like a sitting of a king or something. It's a humble. So Rasulullah was like that. He would just, people will see him that he's sitting like that. It's humble. And he was eating a date. Sitting like this and eating a date. So what do we learn from that? Humbleness. How big was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Last final prophet, but look how just the way how he sits. Okay, next chapter. He used to eat, it's mustahab that you eat with 3 fingers, and also you lick your fingers. Also you lick your plate, and also something that falls off the plate. It's 3 sunnahs here. Try to eat with 3 fingers. Try. If it's sometimes hard for people, then you go and try get to 4. If you're eating rice or something, you have to eat your cereal that way. Cereal you can have it with your spoon. Okay. So 3, and then 4, or if you have to, you could do 5. Sometimes it's hard to eat when you have it 5, but try to do 3. Sunnah. Also, the plate you clean it. Even later on, the gravy that's left on the plate, you can lick the gravy. Also, you can lick the fingers. It says it has minerals on the plate and also on your fingers. It's also good for you health-wise. Before when you finish eating, you should make sure there's no gravy left. Also, you even lick and you don't lick your whole finger. You just lick just the tip. I'll take it after. No. So basically the hadith says, don't use a tissue first. Some people do that, right? Before they have finished their plate, they quickly use tissue. Now you forgot to do the sunnah, so just lick it first. My habit is I would clean the plate, lick the fingers, and then I would take a tissue, clean it as I walk to the bathroom to wash the hand. Make sense? So what's the reasoning behind it? There's barakah. Prophet ﷺ said that if you didn't lick the plate, you don't know where the barakah was. Maybe the last piece of gravy, that's where the barakah was. Also, if you didn't lick your finger, what if the barakah was there? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to grant you so much just through that. Okay, children? So we try to do this. Now, there are many ahadith to prove it. Everything I just said, okay? 3 fingers, licking the plate. Oh, I mean, talk about if some food falls, your mat is clean. So you can clean it if you need to wash it. If food falls, doesn't mean that you just now toss it to the trash. You have to honor food. I mean, a little bit of food, right? Aren't there people in this day and age who have less food in the world? There's some places in the world that have drought. Today, in 2021, yeah? Okay, so what gives me and you the right that we don't be humble before food? Yeah? Okay, go. Yes, your car. Yeah, you can go. Okay, and last chapter. Last chapter is Babun fi takthar al-aydi ala al-ta'am. In food, you should have more hands. So see if we can revive this. It's tough. I know nowadays, modern homes, we are all eating on the table and everybody has their own plate. It's very tough. See if you all can revive it. Maybe purchase some of those big plates. Do something that you can eat in one plate. Because it says in the hadith, ta'amul ithnain kafi thalath. 2 people's food suffices 3, and 3 people's food suffices 4. Also, you get barakah. Maybe it'll be good for your health. It'll be probably good for your relationships and also just your health in general. So this is that last chapter in Ahadith here. So I've kind of summarized it for you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us tawfiq to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.